That's good. That's good. Okay, so let's go here. What's the biggest misconception about investing?
There's a couple, but I would say there's primarily two that I have seen.
Hmm.
One would be that you need a lot of money to invest. I
That's
think most
good.
people, I need enough, I don't have enough to work with an advisor, whatever it might be. And that's not true at all. So I work with a lot of different variations of clientele out there. And the biggest thing I would say is just start with whatever you have. I kind of relate it to weightlifting sometimes. Like, you're not just going to walk in, or if you work with a personal trainer and let's say he says, go run 10 miles, you might be able to do it on day one, but you're not going to come back on day two. Like, it's just
Hmm.
not going to happen. So it's saving money, investing is kind of like a muscle. You need to build it up over time and work through
That's
that.
good.
And that's the whole personal trainer background side of it there.
Yeah.
Uh, but that I think that's a big one. And like Einstein said it best, compound interest is man's greatest invention. And he's a pretty smart
Mm,
dude, so I think he's got something figured out there. So if we can leverage time and compound interest, it's way more important than starting with a big lump sum of money that it
mm,
might take you 10 years to get to that. So, and the other one is that finding like the perfect investment, the perfect tool. I think there's a lot of people that we work with where all of a sudden they come in, they really need help on their financial foundation, on
mm.
saving habits, getting out of debt, how to kind of build into buying a home, retirement plan, whatever it might be. There's a lot of bad spending habits out there, trying to train people into that kind of mindset. So we'll go through a total analysis, give them a plan, put them in the right direction, getting from point A to point B the most efficient
Hmm.
way that we can find. And then they go, this sounds great. I love it, but I want to go do some research. I want to look at it all. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against research, obviously, but what then happens with a lot of people is what we call paralysis by analysis.
Mm.
You If you ever want to get confused by something, Google something for like 10 minutes and see how many different opinions and views you can find. It's not hard to get confused when you start to really dive into the internet and what's good information, what's bad information. So people get so caught up trying to find the perfect thing that they get overwhelmed, and then they just decide that they're exhausted on the decision and they're going to table it to the next time they find some free time to really go through this.
Right.
So I don't think there is a perfect investment. There's not a
Mm.
perfect plan. Everybody's different and they got different things going on. So the paralysis by analysis and diving too deep sometimes becomes a big issue that I see sometimes. So there's no perfect investment, and you don't need a lot of money to start investing or saving. It's just figuring out what's the right move for you. So
Wow. Hey, honestly, that first one is bars. Like, just I feel like I've definitely felt that before. Just, oh, I want to save up some money and then, go and obviously have a 401k and stuff like that. That's almost like mandatory. But I think that's
right.
very interesting to have that perspective. Um, why do you feel investing is key to success, like a successful, retirement and just success in general? Why is investing key?
I wouldn't say that it is, to be completely honest. I think there's a
Mm,
lot of people I work with that are really successful that don't invest much or don't do anything, and they're maybe just an insurance client, but they're doing a lot of different other things. So, investing will help
mm,
significantly get you
mm,
to become successful in those aspects of things. But I think more than anything, it's understanding where an investment fits into your overall plan. So, like simplifying it, I would say people have places where they put safe money, aggressive money, and then home run money. Like those three buckets, if you kind of think about it that way. And we don't really do anything in the home run bucket. Like I'm not here to try and convince somebody I'm going to get you wealthy overnight by working with me.
mm,
The home run bucket is like if I'm working with real estate professionals or business owners, that niche, that specific quality that they've already got going on, like that's their home run. And I wave pom poms and I cheerlead and I say, go do that. Like that's what's going to create wealth for people. We help in the aggressive segment with IRAs and mutual funds and stocks and all those equity portfolios. And then the safe segment is where Northwestern Mutual has a lot of really specific tools that we get to come in and be kind of a place to get off of the roller coaster of money, but have it at
mm.
least be tax efficient and safe. Um, so ultimately, it's going to help. you're going to have buckets and ways that you do things and all that part of it, but it's not like you have to invest to become successful. It's definitely going to help though, and having more buckets and more opportunities. Um, if you could have 5 things, like if I could simplify and say, if you have cash and savings, start there. Then if you go to mutual funds and kind of a brokerage portfolio for your short-term to mid-term kind of time frames, get into real estate and cash value life insurance. If you have those 2 parts of it for more of a mid to long-term perspective, and you're taking advantage of 401ks and IRAs and retirement tools, if you have those 5 things going on, you can't really screw it up. If you have one bucket only, it's not the most bulletproof plan. It's not to say that it can't work, but the more the better. So if you can diversify and have a couple different buckets going on,
Wow.
the more the better. You can't really screw it up too bad.
Gosh, this is like golden nuggets of wisdom. I hope you guys are understanding that right now. It's so good. I'm gonna post recaps and everything about this. If you guys have questions, go ahead and shoot them in the chat box. See one question we're gonna get to kind of towards the end. Um, so I mean, I kind of opened this whole thing up. In a crisis, should we still look to investing? Why? I feel like you kind of answered that already, but maybe for people that just joined on, like obviously it's a crisis right now. You said
Right.
some people are aggressive, some people are like, as you get older, more defensive.
Right.
What are you doing? How about that? What are you doing
Yeah.
with this crisis in terms of
I'm
investment?
being aggressive and opportunistic because I'm 33, so I've got time to kind of weather these storms different than somebody who's 65 and 70. So yes, I am. I've got my Roth IRA. I've got a brokerage account. I'm putting money in. I've in the last 2 years been really lucky with opportunities that come up and just being aware of things, whether it be real estate opportunities, the interest rates dropping like they did a couple months ago, and taking cash out of that to then the original goal was put money into real estate and projects that we wanted to do to fix up our house. But then the stock market crashed so rapidly that it was a really great opportunity to take that cash, put it in, and weigh it in a different option there. So my wife doesn't love that option, but I think long term she will. But ultimately, it's been, right now is a great time if you're young, you've got a long
Yeah,
time horizon to weather this storm. It's going to be okay in the long term.
right.
We don't know exactly when the bottom is, and we don't know exactly when it's going to turn. But if we believe it's going to be in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, which I do, it's a great time to get into the market and ride the roller coaster back up when it does eventually happen. So personally, I am. If you are young, you've got time horizons, you've got aggressive nature there, it's a great time to get into the market in general.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I think I heard Gary Vee talk about this as kind of being like a false crash. It's like everything's on pause right now. So it's
Right.
not a economic crash. Things are on pause. And once quarantine's over, things are kind of pick up and stuff. So I
Totally.
think that's interesting. Um, okay, I feel you kind of answered this one too. I had a question on here, the age-old debate, stocks versus real estate. But I guess your answer is both.
Exactly. Yeah, I like both. And if I had to pick one, I would probably actually pick real estate over stocks. It's a hell of a lot sexier, to own real estate. It's something you can touch, you can feel, you can drive by it, things like that. I like real estate a lot, and my father-in-law is a commercial land developer, so I've learned a lot through him and kind of seen that lens of how real estate kind of plays out with people. But it's both. It's I think a lot of people try to segment it as, hey, should I do stocks or real estate? And it's a both. It's an and plan, not an or plan. It should be stocks and real estate. Um, I think having both gives you a lot of leverage. And so if we're talking retirement planning with anybody, again, with those 5 buckets I was mentioning earlier, they should both play a part. I think real estate's one of the best things long term. Um, and as you start to build, if that becomes an actual portfolio of real estate and rental income and things like that, the big thing about it comes with a lot of headaches and gray hairs, but it's worth it. So there's no right or wrong. And I think that's probably my favorite part of really doing financial planning with people is there's not a right or wrong way or a best one. It's a preference. And so
Mm-hmm.
you weigh out your pros, your cons, your specific opportunity. And we help through the conversation of understanding how it's all going to play together. So I think that's probably what I like doing the most, is having these conversations and the debates with people. I'm not trying to convince somebody my way is better than your way or anything like that, but understanding how the 401ks, the IRAs, all these things are going to work together with your real estate, with the cash you've got. What's the best tax strategy? How do we manage uncertainty in down market times like we're witnessing right now? How do we be opportunistic during that time? So I think ultimately you leverage both of their strengths and take away their weaknesses and leverage them against each other, or I'm sorry, with each other. Then it's a
Mm-hmm.
much better plan than just trying to pick one or the other.
That's really good. Last couple of questions. I'll give you a chance to